Today we will discuss the concept of relation and function. Children, in the 11th class you have studied about the concepts of sets. See how the sets are expressed. You know the sets are expressed in a set builder form as well as in a roster form. Okay. You also studied about the Cartesian product of two sets, and you also know the relation and function. Okay, some definitions you have seen in the 11th class, but in this class, means in a class 12, in the first chapter, we will study the types of relation and the types of function. Okay, and we will solve certain questions related to that. Now just take a quick revision. Okay, in the 11th class, suppose that we have a set A. Okay, see, we have a set A. In a simple form it is written, right, A, E, I, O, U, means you can know the X is the vowel of the English alphabet. Okay, suppose we have a two set A, 1, 2, 3, 4 and another set 1, 4. Okay, now just see the Cartesian product of two sets. When you take a Cartesian product of these two sets A cross B, what shall you get? See, all the element of A is multiplied with the element of B. So we get 1, 1, 1, 4. Okay, 1 is 1. Then multiplied by multiplied 2 with this. Okay, 2, 1, 2, 4 and so on. So we have a Cartesian product of set A cross B. Just see how many elements are there. 1, 2, 3, 4 and so 8 elements are there. Now just memorize what is relation you studied in class 11. Relation. Okay, so relation is defined, means a relation R from a non-empty set A to a non-empty set B. Okay, is a subset of the Cartesian product A cross B. The subset is derived by the describing a relationship between the first element and the second element of the ordered pair in A cross B. Okay, and you also know the second element of this is called the image of the first element. So here in this definition you should remember two things. First is a non-empty set A and non-empty set B, their Cartesian product and the subset. See, we have a one non-empty set, another non-empty set, then Cartesian product. Okay, so we have a Cartesian product, and when you try to find the subset of this Cartesian product, so you will get how many sets. Okay, just see, we have a 8 element, you know, 2 raised to power 8. This is the number of subsets you can get here. Is it clear, children? 2 raised to power 8 type of number you can get the subsets. Okay, so here out of these subsets, means this will be nearly 256 subsets you can get. Clear? So out of 256 subsets, what are the relation? Maybe some set may not be relation and some set may be relation. See, one thing, it is in definition it is clearly mentioned that it should be described a proper relation. Okay, say, you know, in a particularly in social life also, see, जिसको अपन बोलते हैं बेनामी रिश्ता, बेनामी रिश्ता को का कोई महत्व नहीं होता है ना. Similarly, if there is a not relationship not properly described, so उसका कोई meaning हम यहाँ पर नहीं लेंगे. Is it clear, children? So here I have written 3 subsets of this Cartesian product. I took 1, 1, 4, 4. Okay, 1, 1, 2, 4. Okay, just see the first set R1. Here we can get one relation, means the first element is equal to second element. Here 1 is equal to 1, 4 is equal to 4. Is there any other element of this subset is fulfilling this criteria? Is it? No, children. Only these two elements are fulfilling this criteria. Means I am describing the relation. The first element is equal to second element. And here also, the second element is the square of first element. The second element is the square of first element. Square of 1, square of 2. Here we can also give the description. The first element is less than second element. First element is less than second element. So these we can call, these are the relation. Okay. You also know, children, the concept of domain, means the definition of domain. So what is domain? You know, the set of all the first element of the ordered pair in a relation R from a set A to set B is called the domain of the relation R. Just see, the set of all the first element of the ordered pair in a relation. So here, in this relation R1, so this domain of R1 we can write domain of R1 is what? All the element of the first or set of the first element which took part in the relation 1, 4. The domain of R3, say 1, 2, 3. So memorizing this thing you studied in class 11. Okay, the domain means all the set of first element. Okay, similarly you also know the range. Just see the second element which took part, that is called the range. Okay, so range means the set of all those elements. Range, the set of all those elements. So when you just calculate the range of R1, that is 1, 4. So range of R3, 3, 4, 4, 4. So one element here. So range, the set of all the second element in a relation R from set A to set P is called the range of the relation. Is it clear? Now also one thing is to see, when you just see the whole set P which is taking part in the whole set B is not taking part, sorry. The whole set B is called the codomain. So you can also say one thing, the codomain is a superset of the range, means you can say the range is the subset of codomain. Okay, the range is subset of codomain. Okay, these things we studied in the class 11. Okay, we also studied about the function. So let's see what is function. Say a relation F from a set A to set B is said to be a function if every element of set A has one and only one image in set B. Okay, means every element of set A has one and only one image in set B. Is that clear, children? Now you also studied a special real valued function. Real valued function. A function which has either R, means the real number, R is the real number here, or one of its subsets, as its range is called real valued function. Means we have a function and its range is a real number, means all the numbers of the second element is considered the real number, then it will be called a real valued function. And further, if its domain is also the real number, okay, or its subset, then it will be called the real function. The real function and real valued function. Is it clear, children? See, as we can represent the set in two forms, similarly the relation as well as function can be also expressed in two forms. One more, it can be expressed in a picture form also. Okay, say one is the roster form and one is the set builder form, and one is the pictorial view also we can express. See, means if you have a two sets, and see the elements are related like this. This is the image. Okay, set A, set B. So we can say set A is related here. You can say if it is a function, so you know that only one image, set A has one and only one image in set B. Okay. Now this is the pictorial form also we can. Now we will see some real function. Okay. So I am taking the example of first real function, that is called identity function. Identity function. Say any function f, that's its domain is R, means real value, and range is also R, and if it is denoted by fx is equal to x itself, means y is equal to x itself, then it is called identity function. A, any function R to R, if fx is equal to x itself, means y is equal to x. Okay, see, when you see your image in a mirror, plain mirror, you see yourself, you say, oh, it is my image, that is called identity. You just see your identity and you become happy. So here, when we put the value of x, whatever, so y also will get the same value. Okay, so when you try to make its graph, so it will be like this. See, putting the values of x, say 0, 1, 2, minus 1, minus 2. So whatever the value of x you will put here, say in this function, suppose you put x equal to 0, you will get y equal to also 0. Okay, so you get y equal to 0. When you put x equal to 1, you get y equal to also 1. When you put x equal to 2, you get y equal to also 2. And similarly, like this. So if you plot the values of x for corresponding values of x, the values of y, you will get a straight line. Okay, just see. For x equal to 0, you will get y equal to also 0. For x equal to 1, you will get y equal to 1. For x equal to 2, you will get y equal to 2. Similarly, x equal to minus 1, y equal to minus 1. And you get a straight line. It makes 45 degree with axis. So this is the graphical representation of function. Okay, that all you studied in class 11th. Now I am taking one more function, that is called constant function. Second one, the constant function. Say a function is defined, y is equal to some constant value. Okay, y equal to some constant value. Means whatever the values of x you will put, you won't get any change on the value of y. Y remains always be constant. So the constant function is defined as it is a function, that means r to r, such that the function is defined such that the fx is equal to any constant value. Say, for example, arbitrarily we can choose any value. Say I'm taking c equal to 2. Okay, suppose the c equal to 2. So it will remain 2 only. So whatever the values of x you will change, x equal to 0, y equal to will get 2 only. When you x equal to 1, y equal to 2. X equal to 2, y 2. X equal to minus 1, again the y 2. X equal to minus 2, again the y 2. Means the value of y is always 2. Okay. So its graph will be very easy, 1, 2. It will be parallel to x-axis. Okay, whatever the values of x you are taking, your y is not changing. Okay, next function I am taking, that is called polynomial function. Say a polynomial function is expressed, see, f r to r, here fx is equal to like this. So here the terms are in an increasing order of power of x. Okay, remember x power should be a positive integer. It should not be negative, and it should not be in fraction. Then the particular function is called a polynomial function. So there are different type of polynomial function. Say when you have it only the square term. Okay, so you will be say it's quadratic polynomial. So it will give a graph of a parabola. I am taking a simple polynomial function to show with a graph. Okay, say I am taking here, suppose fx is equal to ax square. Okay, taking any value of a2, suppose a2 is equal to 4, that is the arbitrary constant. So we'll have y is equal to 4x square. So when you put different values of x, suppose we put x equal to 0, minus 1, minus 2, plus 1, plus 2. What shall you get? So when you put x equal to 0, you will get y equal to 0. When you put x equal to minus 1, here you will get 4. When you put minus 2 here, you get 16. When you put 1, you get again 4. When you get 2, you get again 16. Okay, see here which type of graph you will get. For x equal to 0, we have y is also 0. For x equal to 1, y is equal to 4. From there. When you get x equal to 2, y equal to 16. Means you will get a parabolic graph like this. Clear, children? Now I am taking one more function that is called modulus function. Okay. See, if any algebraic terms is indicated within the modulus sign, then it is called a modulus function. Say if the modulus function r to r, it is a real value. Say fx is such that it depends the modulus. So I took a very simple modulus function. The x is within the modulus sign. So you know, children, when you put the modulus sign, so you will get always positive. Whatever the values of x you will put here, when you put x equal to 0, you will get y equal to 0. When you put x equal to 1, you will get 1. When you put x equal to minus 1, you will get 1. When you x equal to minus 2, you will get 2 only. When you put x equal to 1, again you will get 1. And when you put x equal to 2, you will get 2. Means within the minus sign here, minus 1 you are putting. So for x equal to like this. So within the modulus we are putting minus 1 because we can put any values of x. X is a real value. Okay. Minus 1. So you are getting plus 1 there. The graph. Okay. When you draw the graph, what shall you get? See, we have a x equal to 0, x equal to minus 1. We get y equal to 1. X equal to 1, y equal to plus 1. X equal to minus 2, y equal to 2. Like this. So you get a straight line like this. Two straight lines meeting at a origin. Okay. So you won't get any curve on negative y because y is always positive. Now if the minus sign is put in before of this, means if it like that, like this, then this whole graph will be turned downward, means negative. Okay, in that case you won't get like this. In that case all the values will be negative. You will get like this. Is it clear? Now I am taking one more important function that is called greatest integer function. Say a function f belongs r to r, it is will be a greatest function if fx is defined like this. Means it is shown by a square bracket. Here x is any value, it is any real value, but fx is the greatest function of x. So whatever the values of x you will take, you will get always an integer for y. Means y is equal to, or fx is equal to always an integer. For example, if you are taking x is equal to 2, so you will get fx is also 2. When you take x is equal to 1.2, okay, so you know 1.2 is not an integer. 1.2 is a combination of two different type of number. Okay, say its integral part is 1 and 2 by 10, it's a fractional part. So 1.2 we can write like this, 1.2, it is a combination of two type of number. 1 is an integer and 2 by 10, this is a fractional part, a decimal. Okay, so when you write the fx of this value, so you will get f of 1.2 is equal to 1. Clear? Because we have to write only integral part of the any of the number, any real number. So similarly, when you write x is equal to 0.2, you have its integral part is 0. Okay. Now if you have any negative number, say we have a, suppose x is equal to minus 1.3. We have any negative number, x is equal to minus 1.3. Just remember minus 1.3, how can you describe this number? See, what is the integral part of this? So minus 1.3, its integral part is minus 2. Okay, this number we can express like this. It is a combination of minus 2 and 0.7, means minus 2 plus 7 by 10. This is equal to minus 1.3. So its integral part is minus 2. So when you write f within a minus 1.3, you will get minus 2. Is it clear? Now interesting, na? Just see how the graph is being plotted. The graph of this function. See, when you take x is equal to 0, x is equal to 0, you will get y is also 0. x 0, fx or y is also 0. When you take x is equal to 1, y is also 1. Clear? But when you take the values between 0 to 1, see, suppose you take 0.1, you will get 0, because when you take x is equal to 0.1, its integral value is 0. 0.2, integral value is 0. 0.3, 0.3, integral value is 0. So between 0 to 1, you always get 0, but at 1 you will get 1. Okay, so between 0 to 1 means x is equal to 0, you will get 0, 1 up to 1. So when you get x is equal to 1, then only you get 1. And before this you will get 0 only. And one more thing, is the point which you cannot express. See, when your value of x is approaching towards 1, means it is not exact 1, but it is approaching towards 1, means when you write x is equal to 0.99999, again you will get 0. Just remember, its integral part is 0 only, right? So for x is equal to 0.9999, y is again 0. So as you reach to 1, means x is equal to 1, you jump to the 1. X is equal to 1, y equal to 1. Similarly, x is equal to 2, y equal to 2. And between these, whatever the value 1.1, you will get 1. 1.2, you will get 1. 1.9999, again you will get 1. Like this. As you get 2, it jump to the 2. Similarly, here. And so on. Okay. This sign indicates that particular value is not reached, means not exactly. Okay, means we are reaching towards 1.999, 2.999, 3.999. When you reach, you go to the higher point. Similarly, minus 0.5, you get minus 1. Minus 1.5, you will get minus 2. This will be the graph. See, very interesting graph it is. Okay, so you won't get any value which is fraction in a y. Always you will get some integral part. Is it clear, children? Now similar to that, we have several type of function. Real value function means you can say just a previous chapter we studied inverse trigonometric function. Those are also the inverse trigonometric functions are also the function. Okay, we have 6 types of inverse trigonometric function that we studied. So their graphs is also there. We will see that later on in some other chapter. One more thing, all the trigonometric function, logarithmic function, exponential function, all these are real value function. Okay, see, whenever we need some type of function, we discuss at that time. Okay, see, if you continuously take all the function, it will take a lot of time. So first we start the new portion of the class 12. Okay, so come to the new portion of the class 12, that is the types of relation. Now come to the very important part, that is called the types of relation. Okay, see, the relation is a subset of a Cartesian product of two sets. Now suppose we have a single set and we take the Cartesian product of its set itself, then also we can get a Cartesian product of Cartesian product of sets. Now if you have suppose we have a set and there is not a single element is related to any of the element, then it is called an empty set. Okay, see, sometime one examination is taking place in your class and nobody is passed. Suppose not a single person is passed in that particular exam, means no one is passed. So that is if you want to make the set of a passed candidate, passed student, so you will get an empty set. Okay, so this type of relation, when we have not a single element is related to not any element, okay, then it is called an empty set. Now sometimes it happens that if somewhere a race is organized and by chance, suppose 4-5 participants are there in a race and all got the first prize, it is almost impossible, no? Suppose that all passing the cross line together, suppose, just for example. So what will you do? Okay, can you identify, can you give the prize to all the 5 students, all the 5 participants? No. You make the competition again. Okay, it is, sometimes it may say when you are finding a relation and you got, all the elements are related. All the elements are related. So this you don't want this. Okay, suppose particularly in any class, particularly in any school, all the students will not get the first. Okay, see, it is practically it is little difficult. Similarly, if you have all the elements are related, so this type of relation is called universal relation. So basically these two are the ideal conditions. See, we will not take these conditions, so we will just omit these conditions. This is called a trivial type of relation, means not necessary. We not use those type of relation. So we get some practical type of relation. So we have a 3 type of relation. Okay, the first relation is called reflexive relation. Means, note down children, if a relation, note down, first one is a reflexive. Okay, what is a reflexive relation? See, a relation R in a set A. A relation R in a set A. See, we are indicating a single set A. Means you have to take A cross A. A is called a reflexive if the element is related to itself. Okay, for every A, say I am taking an element small a that is related to itself. For every A belongs to the set capital A. Okay, a reflexive relation. So a relation R in a set A is reflexive if, okay, see, I am taking the set A only, okay, is called reflexive if, what is that? If I am taking an element of the cross product, Cartesian product, that is A comma A, that belongs to R. For every A belongs to A. All the elements, every element belongs to A. Is that clear, children? We just take an example. Say, we have a set of 3 congruent triangles. See, we have one triangle, and children, the triangle is a congruent to itself. each and every triangle is congruent to itself. This type of relation is there, so it is called reflexive. See, any number is divisible. See, a number is divisible. Number is divisible. This is a describing of the relation. You know, each number is divided by itself. So always a number division means 4 is divided by 4, 3 is divided by 3. When you write like this, so if the relation is the relation is describing the number is divisible. So the number it's divided by itself every time. So this type of relation is called reflexive. Now it is clear. So we will take some example after. Let's finish the definition of the types first. Okay. And second type is symmetric. So a relation R in a set A is called symmetric. It will be same. A relation R in a set A is called symmetric if they are taking element Cartesian product A1, A2 that belongs to that particular relation. That implies that A2, A1 will also belongs to relation for all A1, A2 belongs to set A. Okay, from set A, if you are taking the element A1, A2 of the Cartesian product, if A1, A2 is in relation, so A2, A1 should also be in relation. Means, just in a Ramayana, Ram, Bharat, Lakshman, Shatrughan. These are the brothers. Okay. So Ram is the brother of Lakshman. Ultimately, the Lakshman will also be the brother of Ram. If this type of relation taking place, then it is called symmetric. Is it clear? So in a symmetric relation, A1 is related to A2. That implies A2 is also related to A1. If this type of relation is there, then that particular relation is called symmetric. Is it clear? Now the third one and last one is the transitive. Transitive relation. So a relation R in a set A is called transitive if A1, A2 belongs to R and A2, A3 also belongs to that particular R. That implies A1, A3 also belongs to R for all A1, A2, A3 that are the element of set A. Is that clear? See, it is just take for example, that same example as I took this earlier, means Ram is the brother of Lakshman. Lakshman is the brother of Shatrughan. Okay, so Ram is the brother of Shatrughan. Is it clear? If this type of relation is there, then it is called transitive relation. Now, if for a particular example, if all these three types are present, just see one example I am taking. That means we have it. 3 lines, line L1, line L2 and line L3. We have 3 lines which are parallel. Okay, the relations are describing parallel lines. You know children, the line is always parallel to itself. So here L1 is parallel to itself. Similarly L2 is parallel to itself. Similarly L3 is parallel to itself. Is that clear? So it will be a reflexive type of relation. So set is describing L1, L2, L3 is parallel. A line L1 is parallel to itself, L2 is parallel to itself, L3 is also parallel to itself. So it is a reflexive type of relation. Now if L1 is parallel to L2 and L2 is parallel to L1, just see, it is happening. If the line L1 is parallel to L2 and L2 is parallel to L1, if these two lines are parallel, so L1 is parallel to L2 and L2 is parallel to L1. This is a symmetric relation. And one more thing, if L1 is parallel to L2, L2 is parallel to L3, and hence it is definitely L1 will be parallel to L3 also. So if this kind of relation is there, in this example it is there, so this is called transitive relation. So in this example, all type of relations are occurred together, okay, simultaneously. So this type of relation is called equivalence relation. If all three combinedly occurs, so it is called equivalence relation. Okay, so what we studied earlier, we studied there is a empty relation and universal relation, that we generally we omit all this type of relation, generally we don't take this type of relation. Okay, this is called trivial relation, okay, means not useful. And then we saw reflexive, symmetric and transitive. Okay, so in the next period we will take some example of this. So there is one suggestion, children, you just go through with the example given in the NCERT textbook. Okay, we solve some questions and then we started types of function. Okay, thank you.